Hare Krishna, please accept our humble obeisances. All glories to Shri Prabhupada. So this is another question and answer session, as well as replying to some comments on YouTube. I wish I would take more time to reply to the comments that I get on YouTube as well as Facebook. I'm still not very organized when it comes to replying devotees and well-wishers who contact me. So this is something I have to work on, so please excuse me if you've been writing a comment somewhere and I have not replied. I probably have missed it, or it's been buried under so many other comments. Especially on YouTube, I'm starting to receive more and more comments, and it's just piling up, and sometimes to just scroll down to go back to a question that was asked before is just so long. So I'm very, very sorry. Please write again a question. Write your question again, and I will try to answer it in the next session. And if you have a question, you can post it in this video comment section so that I will know where to search for the next Q&A session. So here we go. Let us start. Hare Krishna. Okay, here we have a question from Ayam Atma Brahma. So Prabhu, when to follow a kadasi in America? Yes, every region in the world has different timing. It's all according to what time does the sun rise, and the Tithi, which is which day. It's all calculated according to Vedic calendar. So I'm not an expert in this. So I follow Vaishnava calendar or Gaudiya calendar, which is the G-Cal. Okay, you can download it if you have an iOS system, so an iPhone. You can download a G-Cal, so Gaudiya calendar, and it's very useful. You can input your location. It can find it with the GPS, and according to this it will tell you exactly what time is the rising of the sun, the Brahma Muhurta, what time to chant your 3 Gayatris during the day, what time to break fast for Ekadashi, and so on. So I would suggest that you download such an app if you have an Android phone. There are other apps out there also that can help you, and just follow these apps. Make sure that you get a good one, and then that's the best way to make sure that you're not missing Ekadashi. Here Janabi Coach is saying, thanks Hare Krishna Prabhuji for showing the fake face of Zakir Joker. So yes, this was our goal, to show how Dr. Zakir Naik is distorting the meaning of Vedic verses that he quotes. So as we have mentioned in that video that I uploaded on my channel, it was not against Islam or Muslims or Muhammad at all. So it was simply to expose how Dr. Zakir Naik is trying to manipulate the sentiment of the people by interpreting the verses that he finds. So actually, that video I uploaded on my channel was a very shortened version of the actual long video that we uploaded on our ISKM TV channel. You can go take a look. It's called The Rebuttal of Dr. Zakir Naik. So if you type this on YouTube, The Rebuttal of Dr. Zakir Naik, it will pop up, and you can watch the whole thing. It's about an hour long, but it's well presented, and many devotees have appreciated our efforts. So here Smoo Mahesh says, dear friends, is this real information? Please translate to Hindi. Total video. So yes, like I said, the video I uploaded on my channel was only a shortened version, so there's no subtitles, but to the long version of the Rebuttal of Dr. Zakir Naik, there are Hindi subtitles. So as you can see, if you type the Rebuttal of Dr. Zakir Naik, it comes up. This is this one. So here in the CC, you can simply subtitles, and then you have English, Hindi, and Telugu. So you can choose. So you type Hindi, and then the subtitles are here.
It is illogical to say that he cannot.
So here, N1M, can you please share a link of Jagannath's song being played in the background? So there's someone who replied in the comment, check out the description. So since it's a copyrighted song, automatically they will add the link into the description of the video. So this is in the video Father and Son Picking Flowers for gṛhastha that I've uploaded recently. So you can press on that link and it will bring you to the original song. However, when I pressed on the link, it said that the song was not there anymore, so I've tried to find it on another YouTube channel and I couldn't. Okay, so this is a longer comment and a more important topic. So Sneha Desai commented on a video that we've uploaded, which was entitled Sex Life in gṛhastha-āśrama, Sex Life as a Representation of Krishna Consciousness. So here's the comment. Yes, I am a Krishna devotee. I read Bhagavad Gita. I chant. Yes, I understand and accept that sex outside marriage is completely illicit. But does it mean that within marriage we have to do sex only once in our life to get one Krishna conscious child? If it is like this, why should we do this one time? Better to do IVF, right? So I don't know what IVF, but I guess that would mean simply remain single, or so that we do not see opposite gender and our mind will be more pure. Doing once is better than not doing at all, right? I believe that my husband is the one which I can share everything, love completely. But if there's any special space for my husband, then we can love any random guy. Why to marry? I'm not an ISKCON member. I didn't understand the idea of marriage in ISKCON. I'm getting confused by such ideas. I also believed and followed 4 rules of Krishna consciousness before marriage. But if I'm in marriage, it's a illicit thing, then I'm only following 3 rules after marriage. Yes, I believe in Krishna-centered life after marriage, but everything has its importance and it has that much role in our life. After gṛhastha-āśrama, yes, we can think of such celibacy, or maybe by God's grace we slowly progress in our devotional life and this material needs will naturally go off. But it will not go in a day or by few chantings. It is the only thing which I never agree with ISKCON, telling that everyone is sinful having sex within marriage. Better to agree Islam or Christianity. If we are doing sex as duty for maintaining our relationships and consider it as our dharma, then it is not sinful for me. Okay, so this is an important topic because it touches most of devotees. At least 90% of devotees are gṛhastha, are in the gṛhastha-āśrama. And therefore this topic must be addressed, and it is important because it is at the very core of our spiritual advancement. So first of all, let us understand that there are 2 opposite things. One is lust and one is love. So in the Chaitanya Charitamrita it is said that lust is the desire to gratify our senses, and this is diametrically opposite to love, which is love of God. So as long as we have lust within our heart, they cannot be true love of God. So lust has to be completely eradicated. So whether it is with husband or outside marriage or whatever it is, lust must be slashed. You see, Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, so first we'll read Arjuna's question. Arjuna said, O descendant of Vrishni, by what is one impelled to sinful acts, even unwillingly, as if engaged by force? So this is what is forcing us, you see. So it is not actually, most gṛhastha do not follow strictly the regulations of sex life. And that is not a disqualification in itself. It is not that Prabhupada would reject his gṛhasthas. You know, so most gṛhasthas are also indulging without the idea of conceiving a child. But one should understand that the perfect standard would be to remain husband and wife, satisfied in the Lord's service, and thus feel no need for this sex gratification.
Married life is not for sex indulgence. The principle of marriage is on the background of getting good children. So the householder is allowed to have sex life once in a month, just after the menstrual period. The menstrual period prolongs at least for 5 days. So after this 5 days, one can have sex life provided he desires to get a child. As soon as the wife is pregnant, no more sex life, until the child is born and is grown up at least for 6 months. After that, one may have sex life on the same principle. If one does not want more than 1 or 2 children, he should voluntarily stop sex life. but one should not strictly use any contraceptive method and at the same time indulge in sex. That is very much sinful. If the husband and wife can voluntarily restrain by powerful advancements of Krishna consciousness, that is the best method. It is not necessary that because one has got wife, therefore you must have sex life. The whole scheme is to avoid sex life as far as possible, and if one can avoid it completely, then it is a great victory for him.
So Arjuna here is saying, what is this thing that is forcing us to act like this? Because even though we might know that sex is not good, that we must give it up because it is an impediment to develop love of God, still sometimes we are forced into it. So what is that force that is pushing us? So Krishna is answering saying, the blessed Lord said, it is lust only, Arjuna, which is born of contact with the material modes of passion and later transformed into wrath, and which is the all-devouring, sinful enemy of this world. So Krishna says that this lust, this sexual urge, is the all-devouring, sinful enemy of this world. So it is not about agreeing with ISKCON or agreeing with Christianity or agreeing. This is a scientific fact that lust is within the heart of every conditioned souls, and it has to be purged. It has to be purified. So gṛhastha-āśrama is a license for sex life under certain regulations. It is not expected that everyone will simply use sex life for begetting children, but it is expected that one advances towards that goal. Because lust is very dangerous, because here the Lord says, later transform into wrath. So why are we angry sometimes? Because we are angry because lust was there. As soon as someone is angry, we must understand that the presence of lust is there, because without lust there's no anger. So, and if lust remains in the heart, anger will automatically arise. Why? Because the eternal nature of the living entity is to seek pleasure. And when that pleasure does not satisfy the self, wrath arises. And any material activities meant to gratify the senses will never satisfy the Atma, the pure soul. And therefore wrath is a concomitant factor of the seeking of happiness in the material world. In America, there's a famous sentence, the pursuit of happiness. That sentence is there in the Constitution, that every American has the right to pursue happiness. Unfortunately, they do not know how to achieve it. And this sex life is the highest, we can say, material pleasure in this world, and it is very fast gratification. Therefore, people are very much attracted to this sex. However, this very sex is the binding knot to the material world. Without giving up sex life, there is no way that one can go back home, back to Godhead. So in Prabhupada's time, there were many gṛhasthas. In fact, Prabhupada pushed a lot of the ISKCON with his gṛhastha disciples as preacher. So the best thing is this, is that husband and wife remain together and give up sex life not artificially.
There is no need of separation. Live together and train up your mind, that is all. Artificial separation is never recommended. And when you see, living together, you have no desire for sense gratification, then that is the highest stage of perfection. Voluntary restraint is tapasya, austerity, and this is possible with advancement of Krishna consciousness. Artificial separation is foolishness. We recommend voluntary restraint, not artificial separation. So you should understand that there is no objection to live together as husband and wife. The tendency is there, it is natural. But if one can check it, that is very good. But it is not compulsory, and not to be checked artificially, but with advancement of strength in Krishna consciousness.
So Prabhupada says this is artificial. There's no need of any artificial means to stop this sexual indulgence. It has to be done by the strength of our service to the Lord. And the most effective way is to apply our intelligence in preaching. So try to preach this Krishna consciousness. There are 4 ways. So one can give up his life. That means 100% from morning till evening he is working to spread this Krishna consciousness movement. That is called a full-time devotee. So there are full-time gṛhasthas, just like we have our Prahlad Bhakta Prabhu in India, who is building the biggest temple, ISKM temple at the moment. He is full-time, he and his family, his wife and daughter. They are full-time, they are trying to push the movement there. So they are fully engaged morning to night on how to spread this Krishna consciousness. There is also Vrajakishore Prabhu, who's the temple president in ISKM Philippines, Manila. He and his wife are also pushing the movement there. They're also full-time devotees. There is Mahaprabhu also in Singapore. He's there with his wife and 2 daughters. And there is also Chaitanya Leela Prabhu and his wife and 3 sons now in Australia. So it's not that because we're a gṛhastha, it's not possible to be full-time. If we are sincerely asking the Lord to help us to take to this full-time life, the Lord will help us. And He will take care of our maintenance. Because Chaitanas Chaitananam Eko Bahunam Vidadat Kyalman. So the one eternal is taking care of the plural eternals. So if we realize that the Lord will maintain me if I surrender unto Him, and with this consciousness bring all of our family members into the preaching zeal, then the Lord will surely protect us, even for any material needs that our family members might require. That is first. Second is to give our wealth. So since gṛhasthas need to maintain, they must work. Although in the Nectar of Instruction it is said that we should reduce our workload. But now, Kali Yoga, it is so made that most jobs say that you must work 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. However, that is too much. So the best would be to find a part-time job where one could earn enough to maintain his family members and at the same time use some of that wealth to push the movement. So that is a very good karma yoga method, is that to use a part of our wealth in order to push the movement. Give for printing books, give for building temples, give for the worship of the deities in the temple and the maintenance of the temple. In this way, we will not be as contaminated by performing such material activity of working 8 hours a day and going to work left and right. So my personal experience is that it is very, very hard to attain a steady platform of devotional service and make genuine spiritual advancement when one works too much. Because you go to work, everybody's there, material, conversations are happening, everybody is filled with material desires and they talk. Everything, every sense objects at work is contaminated, and to keep oneself protected from this is very hard. What to speak 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. Therefore, the best would be to have a part-time job and support our family members with as minimum work as possible, and devote more time to do other forms of preaching. So that will lead us to the third one, which is to serve with our intelligence. There's a lot of work that requires our intelligence and that can help the preaching movement. This is mainly what I'm doing at the moment. Making videos like this requires the use of my intelligence, although I don't have much, but by the grace of the Lord I can do a little. So there is translation work that can be made. Sometimes devotees make videos or they write articles in English, but there's a huge scene, Hindi preaching scene, French, Spanish. If you speak one of these languages, you can offer your translation service in this way. There's also editing. There's so much things that a gṛhastha couple can do in their gṛhastha-āśrama that requires intelligence. You can do chart of the philosophy, the 3 modes of material nature, how they affect. There's so much things, and how one can use his intelligence. One can get guidance from senior devotees who are preacher and who know how to give good suggestion to the gṛhastha couple on how they can, in their free time, use their intelligence in Krishna consciousness, buddhi yoga, to link one's intelligence with the divine desire, the desire of the Lord, which is that all living entities should go back home, back to Godhead. If our intelligence is linked with that desire of Krishna and Prabhupada, and we do some work at home in this mood of trying to render some service, we are in buddhi yoga. and that is very, very purifying. Another way is to use our words. So you meet someone outside, you talk to him about Krishna. Say, look, I have got this Bhagavad Gita, it has changed my life, you can take a look at it. So in this way you preach with your words. So these 4 ways are how gṛhastha will be able to give up lust. Okay, so it is not an artificial way that my wife will have to sleep 1,000 miles north and I'll sleep 2,000 miles south, and then this will be fine. And what is the use of gṛhastha-āśrama? So I will again read a bit your comment, and I will speak on specific points which you have mentioned. So you say, but does it mean that within marriage we have to do sex only once in our life and to get a Krishna conscious style? So like I said again, it's not like this. Actually, you cannot control. Even if you say, I shall do it only once, if your heart is not purified yet, if our heart is not yet purified, we will be forced to do it more than once, even for our own sex gratification. So that is what Arjuna has said. So it's not like that, okay? And so better do IVF, right? So that we do not see opposite gender and our mind will be more pure. So even by not seeing the opposite gender, of course, before in Vedic culture, this is how it worked. The brahmachari ashram, where the young boys were trained up to refrain from sexual indulgence, and they were away from any women, that definitely helps, but that will not last unless one is engaged in the Lord's service. There was a great Muni in bygone ages that he decided to do yoga meditation within a lake. So great Muni can do this. It's not because us will die after 1 minute that nobody can stay for many years in a lake. They know how to do that. This is simply some science, it's nothing to do with magic or fairy tales. It is a scientific process. So he was meditating, and simply by seeing a male fish and a female fish having intercourse, immediately his mind became agitated, and he went out the lake, and I think he married some 20 princesses or something. So he fell down into sex life again. So it's not simply by abstaining, trying to block the senses, that you will be able to control. And concerning this, the Lord says in Bhagavad Gita, so Bhagavad Gita 3:33, Krishna says, even a man of knowledge acts according to his own nature. For everyone follows his nature. What can repression accomplish? So to try to repress one's nature, okay, it will ultimately burst. It's just like you're trying, you're boiling some water and you're trying to keep all that pressure in. It's not possible. At one point it will simply burst. So the purport, Srila Prabhupada says, unless one is situated on the transcendental platform of Krishna consciousness, he cannot get free from the influence of the modes of material nature, as it is confirmed by the Lord in the 7th chapter, 7:14. Therefore, even for the most highly educated person on the mundane plane, it is impossible to get out of the entanglement of Maya simply by theoretical knowledge or by separating the soul from the body. There are many so-called spiritualists who outwardly pose to be advanced in science, but inwardly or privately are completely under the particular modes of nature which they are unable to surpass. Last part, therefore, without being fully in Krishna consciousness, no one should suddenly give up his prescribed duties and become a so-called yogi or transcendentalist artificially. It is better to be situated in one's position and try to attain Krishna consciousness under superior training. Thus one may be freed from the clutches of Maya. So here, Prabhupada says no one should suddenly give up as if he's a great renouncer. So you cannot say that, I have desire for sex life in gṛhastha-āśrama, but I can only do it once, therefore let me renounce all of it and I'll become a great transcendentalist, not seeing the other sex. It will not work, because the modes will continue to act within the mind and we will be thinking of sex lives. So if one is agitated by lust, he should get married. And within gṛhastha-āśrama, he should try to attain Krishna consciousness under superior training. That is an important factor. We should take guidance from senior devotees in order to guide us in this great battle against lust. And only then one can get freed from the clutches of Maya. The Lord says in 2:59, the embodied soul may be restricted from sense enjoyment, though the taste for sense objects remains. But seizing such engagements by experiencing a higher taste, he is fixed in consciousness. So that means that, okay, maybe we'll force ourselves to not indulge in sex with our husband or wife, but we'll still have the taste for that sex. So it is like an itching sensation we must tolerate and at the same time engage ourselves in service. In this way, we will experience a higher taste. Purport: unless one is transcendently situated, it is not possible to cease from sense enjoyment. The process of restriction from sense enjoyment by rules and regulations is something like restricting a diseased person from certain types of eatables. The patient, however, neither likes such restrictions nor loses his tastes for eatables. And similarly, sense restriction by some spiritual process like Ashtanga Yoga in the manner of Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara, Dharanyam, Dhaya, Dhyana, etc. is recommended for less intelligent persons who have no better knowledge. But one who has tasted the beauty of the Supreme Lord Krishna in the course of his advancement in Krishna consciousness no longer has a taste for dead material things. Therefore, restrictions are there for the less intelligent neophytes in the spiritual advancements of life. But such restrictions are only good if one actually has a taste for Krishna consciousness. When one is actually Krishna conscious, he automatically loses his taste for pale things. So that is the way. Prabhupada did not only give us don't. He also tell us chant 16 rounds and read my books. Preach this Krishna consciousness, be engaged in deity worship. So he gave us much more positive things than negative. Negative, he only gave us 4 that are, compulsory. But the positive engagement that he gave us are many folds. So this is what we have to focus especially. And by doing this, following the 4 negative will be very easy. It will become automatically. Just like in the spiritual world, sex life is also there. Prabhupada says that everything in the spiritual world is absolute. So there's no comparison. It's not like here that, doing something is that much pleasure and sex life, it's that much pleasure. Although it's complete illusion, actually, it's suffering. It's just like the camel, because the camel, what is he doing? He's biting thorny twigs, which cut off all of his teeth and mouth, and there's a bit of blood that mixes, and he swallows that, and he thinks it's very enjoyment. So every time a man loses his semen, it takes so much blood just to replace that. I believe they say it's 7 or 8 drops of blood for 1 blood of semen. So every time that a man is having sex, he's wasting so much amount of blood. So by wasting his blood, which is his life energy, he becomes weaker and weaker in health. He becomes weaker in mind, and he loses his memory, his determination. These are all concomitant factor of losing one's semen. Therefore, brahmacharis can remember many verses, and they have a very strong determination. In this way, brahmacharya is very, very much a great platform for spiritual advancement. So by wasting our blood, we think we're enjoying. But anyway, so in the spiritual world, there are male, there are female also, and they are millions of times more beautiful than people we find here. Yet they're not attracted to one another sexually, because they're so much absorbed in the service of the Lord. So now you are saying here, I believed that my husband is the one which I can share everything, love completely. So sharing everything is not good in itself. What if I have poison and I want to share it with you? Is it a very good thing? I love you, I'll share everything with you. I have a bottle of poison, let us drink together. So this sharing everything has to be done on the platform of knowledge. As we are discussing now, this lust is the binding knot that keeps us into the repetition of birth and death. That is the real problem here, and this is why lust is bad. Lust is not bad on its own. It is bad because of the effect that it has on the living entity. So this lust will keep one in the birth, death, disease, and old age cycle, because you're attached to husband is attached to wife, male and female. In all species of life, it's there, male and female. You see everywhere, pigeons, beasts, reptiles, it doesn't matter. So this is what keeps us entangled in this material world. We can see a verse on this. So here, Srimad Bhagavatam 2:6-20. The spiritual world, which consists of 3/4 of the Lord's energy, is situated beyond this material world, and it is especially meant for those who will never be reborn. Others who are attached to family life and who do not strictly follow celibacy vows must live within the 3 material worlds. That means if one is still attached to this gṛha-medi lifestyle, to live husband and wife, happy, so-called happy together, buying house, having nice cars, going on vacations, going to restaurants. So if one is attached to this husband, male and female being together and having sex, he must remain in the material world. Here, Bhagavatam 6:18-30. In the beginning of creation, Lord Brahma, the father of the living entities of the universe, saw that all the living entities were unattached. To increase population, he then created woman from the better half of the man's body, for a woman's behavior carries away a man's mind. Purport: the entire universe is going on under the spell of sexual attachment, which was created by Lord Brahma to increase the population of the entire universe, not only in human society but also in other species, as stated by Rishabhadev in the 5th canto, Pumsahastriya mituna bhavametam mituni. The entire world is going on under the spell of sexual attraction and desire between man and woman. When man and woman unite, the hard nut of this attraction becomes increasingly tight, and thus a man is implicated in their materialistic way of life. So this knot has to be, so you're saying you want to share everything with your husband, but this sex life is actually entangling your husband. So you are thinking of your husband as the body that you're seeing every day, but your husband is not that body. That body will perish, it will decompose, and it will go back to the earth. But him, the living entity, the spirit soul, will go take another body in according to the activities he has performed in this life. So if you have actual true genuine love for him, you will wish for him to lose attraction for you. To lose attraction to your material body, that is. Not to you, but the material body which you are inhabiting at the moment. If your husband is capable of losing sexual attraction for the body which you have, he will be able to go back home, back to Godhead, if he is advanced in Krishna consciousness. Otherwise, if he's still attracted sexually to your material body, which is not you, at the time of death, he will have again to go and come back into this cycle of birth and death. So this so-called sharing and loving on the material platform is actually an illusion. It is not real, and this is the knot created by Brahma in order to create more population and keep us, into this abyss of the material world. Here, Srimad Bhagavatam 5.5.8. The attraction between male and female is the basic principle of material existence. On the basis of this misconception, which ties together the hearts of the male and female, one becomes attracted to his body, home, property, children, relatives, and wealth. In this way, one increases life's illusion and thinks in terms of I and mine. So this is the whole binding knot, this sex life. Purport. Sex serves as a natural attraction between man and woman. When they're married, their relationship becomes more involved. Due to the entangling relationship between men and women, there is sense of illusion whereby one thinks, this man is my husband, or this woman is my wife. This is called hridaya granthi, the hard knot in the heart. This knot is very difficult to undo, even though a man and woman separate either for the principles of varnashram or simply to get a divorce. In any case, the man always thinks of the woman, and the woman always thinks of the man. Thus, a person becomes materially attached to family, property, and children, although all of these are temporary. So you see, sharing everything is not good in itself. Sharing good things that are good for the soul are good. Then you say, but if there's no special space for my husband, then I can love any random guy. Why to marry? So that's it. Because you do not know the actual use of marriage, you are confused. Gṛhastha-āśrama is there so that the husband can help the wife advance spiritually, and the wife can help the husband advance spiritually. That is the purpose of gṛhastha-āśrama. And at the same time, give a license for sex. So you say, if there's nothing special to share with him, why marry at all? So that special thing, according to you, is that sex life, which is actually the poison within the ashram. And that poison has to be given up. And the true special thing, which is to both husband and wife engage in the Lord's service together and help one another in performing their sadhana bhakti. That is the real special thing. And this relationship is on the basic of the soul and not the body. So therefore, if the husband truly loves his wife, that means that this devotee loves that devotee. And that devotee who is now in the body of a husband cares for that devotee who is now in the body of his wife. And he wants this devotee to advance spiritually so that he can go back to Krishna. But that genuine love can only happen if one loses interest in the material body of his husband and wife. If he still has a desire to exploit the material body, to think that the body of my wife is meant for my sexual enjoyment, or this husband of mine, his body is meant for my sexual pleasure, then there is the exploitation mentality, which is the whole root of our problem, because we came to this material world in order to enjoy prakriti, to lord it over material energy, and the body of our husband and wife is made of that prakriti. So I want to be enjoying that specific portion of the mahatattva, of the material world. This is why true love is understood only when we realize that my wife, she is an eternal part and parcel of the Lord, and she must go back home, back to Godhead. And my duty as a husband is to guide her spiritually, even at the cost of her losing attachment to my material body. So then you state, but it will not go in a day or by few chantings. It is the only thing which I never agree with ISKCON, telling that everyone is sinful having sex within marriage. Better to agree Islam or Christianity. So yes, it will not go away in a day or by a few chantings, that's a fact, but it will gradually go away, and that is the test of genuine spiritual advancement. If we can see that our sexual desire is going less and less and less, and we're lesser and lesser indulging in this sex, we know that we're making progress. And we should always keep in mind that the goal is to have absolutely no sex with wife and husband, only for the procreation of children. That should be the aim. Now it should not be done artificially. It should be done by spiritual strength, not by a material arrangement. That will not work. And you're saying, I never agree with ISKCON. It is not a question of ISKCON or Gaudiya Math or another Sampradaya or not. This is scientific understanding of how the conditioned soul is being locked in the material world. It even applies to the beasts and birds, so what to speak of this group of that group. It has nothing to do with ISKCON or this or that. This is the fact. This is what the Lord is telling us. The Lord is giving us this transcendental knowledge by speaking the Bhagavad Gita, and we must understand the Lord through his pure devotee. Therefore, we must understand Krishna at the present moment with Srila Prabhupada. So Prabhupada is giving his purports in his books. We must read those purports and we must follow his instructions in order to make genuine spiritual advancement. Unless we please the pure devotee, there is no question of pleasing Krishna. And unless we do not please Krishna, the Lord who is situated in our heart will not remove that lust. Therefore, yasya prasada bhagavat prasada, yasya prasada nagati kutopi. If you do not please a pure devotee of the Lord, you cannot make any genuine spiritual advancement. But if you please the pure devotee, then yes, the Lord who is within your heart will easily remove that darkness of ignorance, of which lust is one of the parts. So it is not a question of agreeing with ISKCON. Are you agreeing with Krishna? That is the question here. Are you agreeing with Krishna? If you do not agree with Krishna, how you can make genuine spiritual advancement, and how can you claim to be a devotee of Krishna? So, and if there are devotees who say, oh, you're having sex in marriage, you are degraded, you are low, people have not understood they only show bottles. Okay, it's not because a devotee is having some sex in gṛhastha-āśrama sometimes that he's automatically kicked out of Krishna consciousness movement. It's not like that.
Even if one commits the most abominable action, if he's engaged in devotional service, he is to be considered saintly because he's properly situated.
No, Prabhupada knew. You think that Prabhupada did not know that his gṛhasthas were not all fully, in using sex only for procreating children? He knew very well. So, but still, he knows that there's a purification period. So during that purification period, we have to tolerate. We have to know that for other devotees, we have to know that they are getting purified. So we should see simply their good side, that he's trying. He has a genuine desire to become purified. He's advancing in spiritual life, engaging in service. That's what we have to focus on. And us, we should know also when we should repent. When we indulge in such things, we should not be, it's natural, I don't care for it. No, we should repent. My Lord, I'm very weak. Please excuse me. I know that this lust is the greatest enemy of the living entity, and I do not want to indulge in it again. Please give me the strength. Please engage me in your service. Hare Krishna. Hare, please engage me in the service of Krishna so that I can forget this lower so-called enjoyment. In this way, we need the blessing of the Lord. Without His blessings, without the blessing of His pure devotee, how can we make any genuine spiritual advancement? So I hope that this has answered the question, and I hope that you will not say, I do not agree with ISKCON or this or that. You should agree with Prabhupada. Take shelter of Prabhupada. You say you read Bhagavad Gita. I hope you read Bhagavad Gita as it is from Srila Prabhupada. If you read any other Gita, you will not make genuine spiritual advancement. And the proof is that there's more than 400 Gitas. None of them has made a real devotee of Krishna. But Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita as it is making thousands and thousands of devotees. Even now, he is still making devotees by his Bhagavad Gita. That is the proof that it is genuine. He repeats what Krishna says. He is the bona fide representative of Krishna. So please surrender unto him if you want all your problems to be solved. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. So this will end our Q&A session. If you have any further questions, please write it in the comment section below, and we will answer in our next Q&A session. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.